All hail, Captain
Richie!
I love it.
Yes.
And if you don't know that
reference,
then you're about to
much.
learn what that reference is, all about. Because we are the Grand Line Tourist podcast, a chapter by chapter examining or re-examining of Ichiro Oda's masterpiece, One Piece, the manga, about pirates and such. Which is why we were talking about Captain Richie, because this just in. Cover story up top, at the top of this episode. Captain Richie. Richie is officially crowned the crew, the pirate captain of the Buggy Pirates.
Yeah, Buggy's crew after the battle, part 19, complete Richie's pirate crew. Richie's pirate crew. That's an apostrophe S attached to Richie, denoting the pirate crew is his. He stands atop a rock with the battered bodies of the other pirates that were fighting. Kabahi and Mohi.
Mohi,
yeah, there we go. They're just, they're done. They're all bloodied and bruised, but he looks good in the cape, I think. I love that
he's just he's so regal. He's so regal in this picture. And I think the best part of the whole joke is that he has a little question mark because he has no idea what he's doing.
Oh, okay, that's what I figured. I was like, yeah, no, that makes sense. It's obviously Richie has not probably led many, he's used to being told what to do, and now he gets to, I guess, command the crew and tell them what to do, and he may not be up for the task.
They has to be an artist on the Buggy crew because they already have like a Jolly Roger for him.
I can't believe it. Like, they were fast. Like, they got a good drawer. Somebody must have like groggily woke up in the morning and been like, "Oh, Richie," and like immediately like got to stitching. I mean, don't you have to stitch that? It's not just drawing, right?
You do have to. Well, yeah, probably they do have to stitch it a bit. Yeah.
It could be. Maybe it's a stand-in. Maybe that's a quick drawing one, and they're gonna stitch over it. But either way, I think this was a tinfoil hat paid off, completed.
This is a tinfoil hat paid off. Yeah, man. I'm gonna give you that point. DFT. Yeah. Richie wins.
And I don't know if you said it, but just to let them know who they are paying the tinfoil off to, I am Jacob, and I'm sitting across from, what's your name over there? I'm the tourist of this Grand Line Tourist podcast, and what's your name over there, buddy?
Obviously, the opposite of a tourist is a tour guide, someone who's paid large sums of money to guide them through this gigantic odyssey that is One Piece. I am Eric Sivu.
Yeah, I'm working on some student loan payments, so it'll come for you. I just gotta rejigger some things, and I'll have the next tour guide payment.
This is a public domain. Eventually, I'm gonna get my all my loans forgiven.
Very good. Yeah. But no, so today was a little different. We started off with the cover story, just because it was such a momentous moment to cover, and we also have some momentous moments to cover sent in from other wonderful human beings, other tourists and tour guides from around the world. This is Letters at Port. We've gotten some letters. Yes, and it's time that I go ahead and read some out. So, as people may know, I have been diligently uploading about 2 episodes a day to our YouTube, and we'll soon be done, I think, because we're going to actually catch up to where we are right here, right now. Maybe someone's probably listening to this on the YouTube, and that's just wild. But that said, there is one of them where I made a mistake on the video, and it was thankfully and kindly called out by none other than Jay. So thank you, Jay, for keeping me honest.
He helped us out there.
Yeah. I also saw somebody subscribe to us on the YouTube. Thank you, Santiago, for subscribing. I don't know who they are, or they. Yeah, no. They haven't sent anything in, but leave a comment, reach out to us at grandlinetourist@gmail.com. Let us know why you subscribed, like who you are. Was it an accident? Did you click on us on accident? That's okay. We're welcome accidents. That's right. What we like.
Welcome accidents. Accidents are welcomed.
We actually have some like more legit letters from Christian, a friend of the podcast. Chapter 59, Part 1. The sideways batons are called tonfas. Tonfas,
I think. Yeah.
Tonfas. No, but that's good to know. And that's all he's got for today. That's all I got, he says. But
he lied.
Soon after that, he lied. Chapter 59, Part 2 comes in. I do have more to say. Yeah, those are some really cool weapons, and it's especially cool when he blows through Pearl, because Jin hasn't been built up as some sort of, badass. I don't know. We don't swear much on this, so I felt weird saying it.
I was wondering how you're going to handle that.
But apparently he is. I guess that would be my panel when he smashes through Pearl. So this is a late send-in from Christian for chapter 59, and we really appreciate that send-in there. And it was a really cool panel. And actually, was that either of our panels? Man, the panels, they come, they go. I can't remember what we chose.
I don't remember either. It's, you know what? All we got to do is scroll up on this. No, it wasn't.
Okay.
We just got to scroll up on our Discord chat, and we'll see. It
was okay. No, good call. I didn't actually realize how you were doing that. I'm like, what are you scrolling up on? That makes sense because it is a long-going Discord chat full of One Piece panels randomly. If someone was to just come across that and not know that we do a podcast, it would be confusing. They'd be like,
or
these people,
it's a foreshadow of our own coffee book table. Coffee table book.
Coffee table, book table, coffee.
It's just a coupling, us compiling all of our panels that we've chosen for the battles and just putting into a book.
Yeah, there won't be any legal issues with anybody on the
no one tell
Viz Media side. Oda, they're all good with it. They're all good with it. They signed off. They're good. Implicit guarantees. Well, with all that said, I've been speaking for quite a while. Would you be down to take over and let the folks and myself know what happened?
I guess it is part of my job.
Do I need to get you more money? Do I need to take out another loan to give you some more enthusiasm over there?
Well, I'll be forgiven by Big Daddy Biden, so it's happening. Here we go. Itinerary.
Oh, no.
Chapter 60. Resolution. Jin was really banking on Sanji leaving the ship. Like, he wasn't really hoping to fight. And now he's like, I guess the next best thing I can do for you, Sanji, is just to kill you with my own tonfas. Which is whatever. He also tells Luffy, like, hey, man, you should have left too with your crew. But Luffy goes, why would I do that? Why would I lose to a bunch of wimps like you guys? Obviously, the Krieg pirates...
Oh, shots fired.
Yeah, shots fired. And Luffy's not really trying to shoot anything or trying to insult them anyway. He's just stating facts in this whole chapter. Yeah. We'll find out. The Krieg pirates don't like this. They get rowdy. They get offended by Luffy's comments. And they're like, let's beat him up. But Krieg, all the way in the back, says, hey, everybody calm down. You guys reacting so big, you're kind of proving his point. You know? Then Krieg is like, listen, weird stretchy boy. Out of the both of us, which one do you think is going to be Pirate King? Luffy goes, me, obviously.
Duh.
Why would Luffy say anything else? Krieg gets upset, and Krieg goes, Krieg says, I mean, it's obviously going to be Krieg. So Krieg pulls out a new weapon, the MG5 or MH5?
MH5. You know, he's got his whole Iron Man, Captain America combo weapon artillery thing going on here. MH5.
Yeah, so the MH5 comes out. It's like a hand cannon thing, like Jacob was talking about. It was this shoulder shield that now is a cannon. There's a lot of things. So he pulls it, points it towards Luffy, and Luffy's like, if that's just a cannonball, I'm gonna bounce it back. You know, because we've seen him do it. Oh yeah,
no, and they cue it up as being it's just a poison gas cannonball. You know,
yeah,
nothing too crazy.
Krieg keeps saying that it's just a poison cannonball thing, which Luffy thinks he can do it. So he shoots it. Jin's begging him not to shoot it because the poison gas is terrible. It levels villages. It kills people. Luffy jumps towards the cannonball because it looks like a normal cannonball, and he's gonna deflect it. But in the air, right before it hits Luffy, and so he can deflect it, it breaks. And what shoots out of it, Jacob? What shoots out of it?
A bunch of shurikens.
Shurikens
everywhere.
At first I was like, who's throwing shurikens to deflect this thing? Oh no, a little did I know, it's just popping out of the cannonball. Because guess what?
Oh yeah.
Krieg lied. That's what he does. He's a liar. That's how he fights.
It's a trickster. It's a ruse.
Yeah, it's a ruse.
It's not fair.
Yeah, because King Krieg, he knows that in war, there is no such thing as honor and mercy. It's only about winning. And getting to and the fastest way you can get to victory is the way that you should be playing. The fight. The war. Let's see. I lost myself. Luffy gets cut up. He gets all cut up and stuff like that. Do you think he knows at this point to be using sharp things against Luffy?
Oh, Krieg. I don't know. Has he? We've definitely had Luffy broke the deck, right? He stretched a bit, you know.
Yeah, so, he's broken the deck and stuff like that. But I don't know if he's seen him deflect anything. Has he deflected anything? He's only stretched.
No, I think he's just stretched. So I mean, I feel like stretching. You could logically put it together that maybe those sorts of things will help, but. Yeah, it does. It was a good choice. I mean, the shuriken does hit Luffy. Yeah.
He was just like rock, paper. Oh, scissors. Scissors is what I'm gonna go with.
Rock, paper, shuriken.
Again, Krieg's like, because Krieg landed a good blow. Krieg's like, okay, Straw Hat. I'm gonna ask you again. Who should be Pirate King? Luffy says, and even worse, Luffy's just like me because you don't have it. You don't have what it takes to make it. Just facts. Just spitting out facts. All calm. Nothing changing. Krieg gets really upset. Krieg goes, all right, Jin, you killed Sanji. I'm going to kill this stretchy boy because I'm going to prove a point now. Because like Michael Jordan in The Last Dance, it's personal. He took it personal. That's a reference for that weird cross-section of One Piece viewers and sports.
It's not a reference for me. I mean, but I know Michael Jordan. I did not know Last Dance, a movie about him.
It's a documentary, yeah. Right when the pandemic hit, it was like the biggest thing.
Oh my goodness, that teleports me because I didn't watch it, but I listened to somebody's review of it. Oh, it's so sad. I sometimes listen to more reviews than actual content.
That's also very telling of the time that we live in. So we jump to Jin and Sanji, who start their fight. Jin charges at Sanji. He does a really cool move where he puts one of his tonfas into the floor and like kind of does like a shockwave towards Sanji, to which Sanji jumps, and Jin takes advantage of that and actually pins him to the ground.
Yeah, it was a cool moment because like it almost looked like Jin's attack went wrong too, but it was like he's using the weight of the tonfas to pin Sanji. It was a nice one.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things. He does a lot of cool things to kind of get Sanji on the floor, and the chapter ends with Jin holding essentially Sanji on the floor by the neck, face up and all that stuff, and he's like, this is it. Now he has to kill him.
Indeed. Well, that is a fantastic itinerarious job done by our tour guide over there. Thank you, Eric. Despite, I feel like starting off with I feel like the enthusiasm built. I can just see it in your eyes.
Yeah,
it happened.
Yeah. So here we are. Chapter 60. What?
And I mean,
thoughts?
okay.
Do you have any
initial thoughts? I'm not sure. I gotta probe you on this. I found the action in this chapter to not be exceptionally exciting. It was cool. There was some, no. And so I guess that was just it. It kind of felt like I was reading to get to the bigger moments. I enjoyed Luffy. I think I'm also just in general, if you give me action or like plot and talking, I'm usually the plot and talking guy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I as we've gone through this podcast, I've come to be better at slowing down and appreciating action, but I had trouble with it this time. I get it. I get the cannonball didn't have what was expected and that it hit Luffy, but I was just like, okay. And then like there was not a lot of consequences of that hit. It was consequential for maybe showing that Krieg is doing another ruse, Mm-hmm. That's the way he's still fighting dirty, but I knew that. And like, Luffy got hit, but Luffy, he can take a lot of hits, so yes. What are we doing here? So I just had a little bit of that feeling this time. And I think it just probably was the mood I was in when I read this chapter, but I just wanted to share.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Because you know what it is that we just came from whenever they do a flashback, it's going to be like heavy dialogue and heavy story. So we're coming from that to this, which
that's
is like...
probably what it was. I didn't realize. The flashback was really cool. The whole story. Yeah, that was exceptionally enjoyable. And that I think just made this... It wasn't at that same enjoyability for me. Especially since I'm not, like I said, I'm a little less on the action side of things when it comes down to it. As far as what my brain just wants to eat up.
Yeah, because we're kind of like, this is a lot of exposition about the fight, or a lot of exposition about things that we've already established, is what I think.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we already have this established. Like, we know that Krieg, like, Luffy's not going to think, like, that was a dumb question for Krieg to ask. Like, is there any reason why he's going to stop doing that? Especially because they just watched, like, Mihawk destroy Zolo, Yeah. And Mihawk is the same guy who just destroyed Krieg. So, yeah, Luffy's not going to think that you're gonna win. Like, he doesn't care because you're not Mihawk. Like, you're not that level. So
no, not at all.
Yeah, it was just, and then like this whole Jin thing, it's cool, and I think I'll have more to say about Jin later. I mean, it's cool to kind of see him kind of start here, and that's a topic. You know what? We'll talk about it now because we're already talking about it.
Get me some tonic water. We're talking some Jin.
We're talking some Jin, man. I have this section called Jin Unleashed because now Jin is actually fighting. He calls himself the Demon Man towards the end of this chapter.
How
do you... I mean, it's very quick. I think the Tonfa move is actually probably the cool thing, like kind of trying to make Sanji jump. It was a lot of like, I'm going to make Sanji jump so I can pin him. It must have been the move.
No, and it's actually, just when you said that, it made me realize that was actually what happened. Like, this is just when I'm not in the mood, I won't see these little things, and I do see what you're saying about the hit into the ground that makes Sanji jump. And then I did really enjoy the panel after that, though, where like it looks like Jin is doing a backwards jump with his tonfas into Sanji.
Yep.
That's kind of what it looks like to me. And
it was all calculated.
It seems like I know but it's an interesting type of attack because it kind of is acknowledging that like maybe in a like who can just kick the other person and run away and kind of keep kicking the other person. I think Sanji's going to win. Sanji, kick, run, acrobat, kick, run, acrobat. I think Jin loses that fight every time. Mm-hmm. But if you have Jin on top of Sanji with a tonfa on his neck, well, I mean, you might as well say battle done. You know what I mean? And so we got to that point really fast. And so that was kind of impressive. Like, because most of this chapter is Luffy Krieg dynamic, right?
Yeah.
Some silliness, some fun. And then we really just get this little snippet of the Jin Sanji fight at the end. And it is not long before, we got tonfa on the neck of Sanji. So that's kind of my thoughts on this.
Someone who has an advantage already. Yeah, I mean, we're going to see more of that later. So I just kind of want to point it out now because we're seeing Jin do it. And Jin's been all talk up to this point, so it's kind of cool to see him make some sort of move.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I slapped my desk there for no reason. In excitement. I surprised myself.
I guess, okay, so let's talk about, I guess, the biggest part here. Like you just said, it is the Luffy and Krieg dynamic. I guess we'll talk about the easier part of the section is, what about Krieg is showing Luffy that he's not cut out for this? Like, in your opinion, like, what does Luffy mean when he says that straight up? Like, in Luffy's mind, what is it? What has Krieg shown Luffy that he doesn't, that goes like, you can't do this. Like, you're not cut out for it.
It's interesting. I mean, because Krieg is such like an unsavory character, you know? So in my mind, I just have that feeling about him. But as far as, like, specific actions, the way Krieg has been framed in these past couple of chapters kind of give me this feeling of just like appearing big and strong without being it. So I'm getting this feeling of Krieg stands like, I think he's almost like, for a long time he was like on a raft by himself looking at the fight. Like, he's not even like engaging, he's like, a lot of fights go this way though, where we have like a couple of people engage in them and a lot of people not engage in them. But him in particular, like, it almost feels like he doesn't even want to fight Luffy some of the time. It's like he's almost even just afraid to face anything in a weird way. Like, and that fear doesn't really show up because he's such bravado and such weaponry is all around him. That's what I think Luffy's really like getting into, right? Is like, hey, when Luffy, like, and even in this chapter, right, he goes and tries to like fight Krieg a little bit, and what happens? Yeah. Krieg from a distance fires a shuriken cannon and gets him a little bit, and like that show of force, the fact that Krieg won a little bit is like that. Krieg wants it to be over, he's like, well, that's it, right? And Luffy's like, no, I'm gonna be king of the pirates, right? You standing over there doing this, that's not gonna fatigue me. I'm not gonna give in to this sort of armory weapon madness that you got going on. But what'd you think? If the same question was to be phrased to you, or
I like I think you used the key word there, which is fear. Like, Krieg is like a big front. What you described is just a very fragile man covered in armor, right? Is what he kind of is. And he is fearful because everything he's talked about is motivated by fear, right? I want this ship because I want to be able to trick people into coming closer so I can kill them before they realize that I have nothing. He's afraid. He wants Zeph's book because he's afraid of the unknown. He doesn't know what's in the Grand Line, and he doesn't want to face it without knowing, right? It's a lot of fear. Whereas Luffy's the opposite end of that. He's like, he looks forward to the fear. He looks forward to the unknown. Right, and
he hugs cannonballs that explode into shurikens.
Yeah, exactly.
Says, ouch, that hurt.
And even at the end of it, he's kind of like, 1 point you, man, but I'm coming, right? Like, 1 point you and all this stuff. I do want to point out a very cool thing to kind of talk about what you and I are talking about, because I think that's what it is. I think Luffy sees that you're just very afraid. You're a very afraid individual.
And it's funny. As a reader, it's harder to see that because of the armor that's on Krieg. He doesn't look like someone who is afraid, but I think if you just look at what he's done, he is, I think we kind of settled on this chapter. It's interesting.
Yeah, he is afraid, and he keeps trying to convince Luffy to quit, right? Isn't that so weird? Like, he keeps telling him, like, say that I'm going to be the one. Which is one of those things, like, Luffy's like, show me that you're going to be the one. Or Krieg's like, I'm telling you I will be. I promise, man. Right? But that's the difference.
Make a promise.
Yeah. What's really cool, he asked the question twice. Between you and me, who's going to be Pirate King? Luffy's panel, every time he answers, is the same.
Yeah.
It's the same
No,
panel.
you're right. I'm kind of looking right now. I think, yeah, maybe even on the same side of the page.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
Only
so you can
difference
almost,
that
yeah.
On the second one, Luffy has a cut.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Yeah, Luffy he takes the hit and
Yeah.
he's still folds his arms in exactly the same way,
Yeah.
whether or not blood is running down them.
Yeah, because it's just a statement. Like it's just a fact for him. Like he already knows. Because Luffy, if everything, he's kind of like a genius in knowing what a person really is, right? Like
Yeah.
he's just that kind of person who he can kind of like understand who you really are in a sense, especially in a fight. So he's prepared for this fight. He's ready for this fight, sort of deal. But I guess this leads to a bigger philosophical question I have to ask you, which is like,
Ooh, I'm ready.
is there honor in battles and war? Like, is there a concept of honor in that? Because he brings it up, right? Because Krieg is the type of person. His philosophy is that there is no such thing as honor and all that junk when it comes to fighting in wars. It's like you just have to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is it's a bold question, and it's a bold question for somebody who has like never been in a fight.
I mean, I've never been in a fight either, but like through history and stuff like that, and like yeah.
Oh yeah, no. It's almost but even still, okay. So I haven't been in a fight. I don't have a lot of like experience with military and like you're right. I know it all in the abstract from literature, from history, and it's kind of weird that those mix in my head. It feels like I should be able to take, oh yeah, I've read about them in fantasy novels, and then like, oh, I've heard about them in real life, and that somehow should be able to give me some way to answer this question. My feeling is yes, there is a way to have honor in fighting. It does feel like there's this idea of even when you're doing something that ultimately is kind of inhuman, there is a way to approach it that respects humanity. And that sounds like a complete like BS. Like in that sentence, you said respects humanity and inhumanity. No. I want to say like maybe if I had to like if you really set the philosopher loose here, I would say I think I might lean towards no, but I think my gut instinct is what I just said, that there is a way to approach these inhumane things somewhat humanely, but like deep down, I'm kind of like a pure pacifist. So it's like I kind of want to just yell out, "No, Eric, no, you can't beat people up humanely." Yeah. But like a part of me says, well, there's a difference between saying like, let's fight for this thing, and then there's a difference between like stabbing someone in the back, right? And so that's kind of the feeling I have.
I think there's a lot of interesting thoughts here where I wonder if any of our listeners, any of the tourists or tour guides who listen to this podcast, if any of them participate in like fighting sports, like if anybody does like boxing or mixed martial arts or anything, like, is there some sort of respect you have for your opponent? Which is what Krieg's lacking. Like he doesn't see it like that. He doesn't see honor because in his eyes, I think he thinks of honor and all this stuff between battles and wars like a sign of weakness, right? Like why would you do that? Which is funny because you juxtapose that idea versus what Mihawk and Zolo just did, which is like all honor, right? Those are all honor in that sort of fight. For what is this? Which he doesn't understand, right? Because again, we're talking about a man who tried to shoot Mihawks in the back afterwards, and that doesn't work, right? Like,
yeah, no, that's a good point. I think I didn't quite see this the way you saw it with Mihawk. The Mihawk Zoro fight is a really good one to have in the back of the mind when you're thinking about honor relative to Krieg's lack of it.
Right, and then that's just something that, and you see it in the way he fights. He'll lie about what he's using. He'll trick you. He'll try to goat you into quitting or anything like that, right? Like he'll do all these different things before he actually like fights or do anything like that. So it's just so interesting to kind of have that imposed here because like it's so weird for him to bring that up in the middle of this fight, right? He says nothing bugs me more than people talking about honor and all this BS during a fight because there is none of that. Yeah, it's all about winning. It's all about shooting the person with the biggest gun. That's what he says, and we're about to see if his philosophy wins, right? If it works out in the end of this fight.
No, I like that you brought that up. That is an interesting way that it makes the action between Luffy and Krieg feel a little more impactful in this way of like, okay, that's what we're dissecting here. How does Luffy honor a fight versus how does Krieg honor a fight? And we're just kind of, hammering it home. Right, and then we're just going to see, and then maybe we'll even see how that plays out with like Sanji and Jin too. Right? What is that? There's like there has to be some sort of respect for your opponent in some capacity, right? Like there. No, and well, it's funny. I was saying I couldn't relate, and then when you brought it back to the idea of sports, I'm like, oh, I can relate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it just when I'm thinking of war and battle on the extreme, it's hard to relate. But if you think about like you keep scaling it back, you get to a point where it's two sides fighting over a thing, two sides trying to score some points and a goal, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden it's like, well, there's a difference between people that respect the rules in the game and people that don't, right?
Right. Exactly. Right.
And I hate the people that don't play by the rules.
I do too. I mean, I love games, right? I love games, and I love because like, what is the point of a game or anything without rules? Anyways, that's besides the point. But for like war, for as long as war can exist, I have some examples here. As long as wars like kind of existed, like back in the Revolutionary War times, like I call it the musket days, they had rules of war and rules of engagement, right? And even now in our modern world, we have like certain rules that countries all have agreed to abide by. Like chemical warfare and all that stuff. It's crazy that we put these rules on war, which is supposed to be the savage thing, but there is some sort of like, every human, again, talking about given rights of humans, have like given rights to how they should be killed, I guess, right? Same thing, because this is all about eating too. Like it's eating a given right. In war, is it a given right to kind of, like, what are the things that are allowed in war and what are not?
Yeah, no, it is interesting that, like, I think humanity can't help but try to make to have that layer on top of it, you know. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, we'd get really sad about it. We'd be even worse off than what we are now, right?
I know, we'd just be animals. Like, it would be animals and wolves. If wolves could use chemical warfare, they'd go after it.
Well, I think I need to be brought out of the philosophical depths of wolves and chemical warfare with maybe a haha or two. I have one to throw into the fray if you're ready to take it, which is 1 point for me. That's my big one from this chapter. Luffy keeping track of the points that he gets. You know. Yeah, you're not so tough. Funny. There's just so many of you. That wasn't poison gas. That's 1 point for you.
Yeah, that's actually the same one I chose. I chose 1 point for me. 1 point for you. That was the same one I got.
Nice. No, well done.
Yeah. So we both landed on the same haha.
You know, and actually, I realized I read out what I thought was a single haha, but I threw in two more in there on accident. And basically, you're not tough. There's just so many of you. These are actually two separate ones. And then also, that wasn't poison gas. Just Luffy realizing everything very delayed. And then actually, that's 1 point for you. So just in case anyone caught what I exclaimed there, I actually exclaimed 3 really fast without realizing what I was doing.
Well, it's okay. I'll let you have it. But those are also those are like the 3 jokes in this chapter. So I think it's okay.
Yeah, well, no. And I took them all. 3 points for me. That's what I'm saying.
No one's keeping score. But we're going to keep scoring this next segment, though.
Oh, goodness. What possible segment could deserve score? Is it a segment where 2 people go at it in some sort of fashion, some sort of battle?
You know exactly what you're describing. You're talking about the panel battle.
Panel battle.
Awesome. All right. Well, this section is the section where Jacob and I find our favorite panel from the chapter, and then we kind of coerce them to maybe hang out with each other a little bit, but then they both get just a little bit too feisty, and then they start throwing down in a Denny's. That's what this is. This is the panel battle, and it doesn't have to be a Denny's. It can be an IHOP. It can be a Coco's. Any one of those diners would be fine.
Yes.
And you know what? It's just not closed off to me and Jacob. It can be open to you too if you want to invite your own panel to a diner so they can also have a fight in a diner. You can do so by emailing in at grandlinetourist@gmail.com.
Ooh, I like that email. I like the fact that you said that email out loud and it came from your mouth. I'm very impressed. And with that, we're gonna go on. I'm gonna
podcast@gmail.com.
I'm gonna send a Grand Slam, some eggs. Actually, I don't know what's technically in a Grand Slam breakfast, but this panel has it all. That's what I'm saying right here. And it's the panel that was so nice it was included in the chapter twice. What do you see? I just sent it across.
Man, we just talked about this.
I know. I had to pretend that it wasn't my panel in the back. And you see how this picture is taken? Tell them what you're seeing.
You're folding both of these. You're folding the Luffy statement of me. I'm gonna be Pirate King. Yeah, you don't have what it takes, but you're folding them you're folding them in a way that you can take a picture of both of them at the same time. Very cute.
Yeah, I thought it was so cool that you could do it. Oh, but cheating because I picked 2 panels. They're the same panel, right? It's the same panel.
It's not the same panel. One has a scratch in it.
It's basically like you look at the 2 panels, you point out the differences, but you're pointing out the differences from the core of the same. I played by the rules, okay? I have more points than you, and that's all you need to know. So, there. Oh, I can't show any mercy now. Farewell. This is, I think, is it the last panel? It is the last panel of the chapter. Mm-hmm. This is Jin with his tonfa right at, Sanji's neck. He's sitting in a very elegantly crisscross applesauce sort of pose as he just landed to pin Sanji on the ground. And it's actually really funny. Sanji's still got his cigarette just like sitting in his mouth. Like, even though he's pinned, about to get crushed to death, he's still got that cigarette. And Sanji's, I also got to point out that Jin's head is really down. I think it's because, are we getting a little bit of like ashamedness from Jin and what he has to do? Is that what you read that as?
I think so. I think
it's tough to tell.
I don't think he wants this fight.
Yeah.
Like, just in general. No.
So, and then we also, LAM didn't mention in the background, we got, I think, kind of like a thwomp noise for them both landing on the ground with
probably the
Tonfa
landing
the
at the same time, right? I kind of imagine it all happening at once.
Oh, yeah. No, very, very nice choice. I dig it. I dig it.
I just love the angle of it. I think the angle makes it so cool. Like, it's more elongated if you get closer to the bottom left-hand corner.
Yeah, well, and you can also see that, I guess a long time ago we talked that's the technique of foreshortening. We also have the angled, it's also just, there's an angled deck as well, which I think just, it's kind of, there's an unsteadiness to, maybe it's like a metaphorical representation of the unsteadiness in our characters right now. Yeah, of this fight. So I think very well picked all around. Clearly 2 battles beats, one panel. So,
before we go, did your copy of this chapter have the results of the One Piece character popularity poll?
It did. I had that written down, and I'd almost completely forgotten about it. What do you think of the results? Anything that you want to point out?
You know what's nuts?
Ben Beckman?
Hyuna is number 10.
I was okay with Kuina not being number 10. Wait, but who's Ben Beckman? I can't remember. Is this a
Oh my god, that was the other one. Ben Beckman is like the first mate of Shakes. Remember, he's the one who beats up the bandits.
Oh, and why is he so high? Like, I guess
right? Isn't that so funny?
Why is he number 6? And okay, my choice, Gaiman, is way down at 15th place. I mean,
he's in 15th?
Come on. Yeah, Gaiman's in 15th after Jin, Makino, Gold Roger, and Mihawk.
Oh my god! Even over Kobe. Kobe is like 18th. Whenever this poll was taken.
Well, I think Gaiman being over Kobe, that's clear. But Kobe is a little too low, I'd say. Kobe, well, it's interesting.
God, I don't know. Being that high blows my mind. Ben Beckman, though, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, but no, the top makes sense. We got Luffy, Zoro, Shanks, interesting. Sanji being a recent character, like, as far as in this poll, hasn't been around as long, but, is very high up. Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's kind of cool to see what people thought back then about their favorite characters.
Oh, did you see Rabbit Snake is 33rd?
33rd Rabbit Snake? Oh my goodness. Followed by Pig Lion. Yeah. I like this. I feel like all the animal characters should be higher. Oh, and another thing, I just said total number of submissions, 36,000. That's a lot. That's a lot for a little.
A lot. Good on Rabbit Snake. Also good on Mayor Boodle. Boodle's 30th.
Ooh. Is Richie in the list?
Oh, Richie deserves to be on the list.
Richie,
no, but
Richie
is. Did we see a panda?
I'm sure we've seen. There's been so many animal characters in the backgrounds of panels and such. Wow.
The Meow Band brothers, 20th place. Great. This is great. Flash from the past here, guys.
Well.
All right. We got to end it now. We got to go. We got to end big.
End big. End big. We just talked about the
I got it.
Popularity.
No, I want us to end on I'll be the cannonball and you'll be the shurikens that pop out of it.
Alrighty. Here we go.